Well, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. It's Gordon Dierker here with Cruise Norway Worldwide Expeditions. We're very excited to have this opportunity to share a virtual journey with you, with Linn of Hurtigruten, one of our long-standing partners. I mean, if you look at our company's history, we've been in business for 25 years as a specialist reseller, and I think the first booking we ever made would have been a Hurtigruten booking 25 years ago. So a long history for both of us, but we're very excited and we actually thank you very much for joining us today as we take you to what I arguably think is one of the most beautiful destinations on earth. And Linn is going to tell you why you should believe the same thing after this journey. So, Linn, thanks for joining us today and let's go to Norway.
Ja da, velkommen alle sammen. Hjertelig velkommen til Norge. Just kidding. We are not doing this webinar in Norwegian, but it does segue into my intro. I am beyond excited to be here today because there's a story behind this tagline. My name is Linn Wilson. I am a regional sales manager for Hurtigruten, and I got my start with Hurtigruten back in 2016 with a cheeky Sarah Palin tagline, I can see the ships from my house. The reason I am beyond excited today is because my hiring manager back in 2016 was none other than the myth, the man, the legend, Gordon Dierker. So it is so fun that we have now come full circle here about a decade later, but we have been working together for many years, and most of your Cruise Norway team, they are former Hurtigruten employees. So there is no better level of expertise of Hurtigruten than within the Cruise Norway team. Quite literally all of my mentors are there. So this is basically an extended family, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to join our webinar. It's a pleasure for me to be able to present on all things Hurtigruten, and I just love sending people back to my homestead. We're actually talking about this itinerary, so just quickly, should we threaten you with a good time and you opt to book one of these original Coastal Express, just give my hometown Landsvik a quick wave about an hour outside of Trondheim, because this is on the route. I have watched these ships pass my house for my entire childhood. We have a rich agenda built in for you today. This will be a little bit of a narrow scope. So we are discussing one particular itinerary. We're going to talk about Norway, the Hurtigruten difference. We're going to talk about the seasonality, what life on board is like. We'll talk about Cruise Norway, and we do ask that you hold the questions to the end, or don't hold them. You can drop them in the Q&A box, but we will address them at the end. So just some housekeeping items there, but we will tell you a robust story. I tend to present best by telling the story. So bear with me while we go through this journey, and I hope you find it to be as exciting as I find it to be. So let's start with why Norway. So Gordon touched on something very important. It is one of the most beautiful places on Earth. We have the highest number of fjords in Norway due to 30 plus ice ages. So we have 1,700 fjords. I'm actually a movie star as well. That video you see playing in the background, I was feverishly waving to the drone. This was during my trip last year, and this is a fjord called the Jotunfjord. So trends in Norway, coolcationing, maybe you've heard that. We can deliver that in Norway. Norway's a fantastic place for northern lights, particularly nowadays with the solar maximum, highest level of northern lights activity in the better part of a decade. You can travel to Norway year round. Off-peak travel is quite important. Spring and autumn, we'll discuss that in the seasonality. Friluftsliv is a Norwegian's love of the great outdoors. So we are obsessed with nature, which we're also going to cover. It's a very safe country, so it is really well suited for solo travelers as well. So let's jump into some themes of Norway, and I've kind of just leaked in some of my own video footage. Fjords, that is a big draw for Norway because we have so many of them. There, in fact, on our voyages, you will sail past or through over 100 fjords. This one, I always like to call attention to. It's called the Trollfjord. So if this is on your bucket list, it is a great time to experience in summer. Not every ship can fit down these narrow fjords. It's only about 100 meters wide at its most wide point, and that mountain you see shoots up 1,000 meters. Nature is a recurring theme in Norway. Friluftsliv, our love of the great outdoors. This, if you are an outdoorsy person tuning in, if you are an avid hiker, this Norway is a dream for you. Lots of hiking trails. We have a saying, it's called Allmensrett. It means we have the right to roam. So you can roam anywhere in Norway completely freely. Lots of hiking opportunities, outdoor activities, and just hang out in Mother Nature. One of the biggest draws for Norway is, of course, also Northern Lights. Anytime between September and March, this is the norm, not the exception, particularly north of the Arctic Circle. So Northern Lights is another big draw to Norway, but we cannot forget about the midnight sun. So in the summer, the sun does not set above the Arctic Circle. So you will have a front row seat 24/7 to the most stunning coastline in the world if you travel anytime between late May through July. So that's just a little bit about why Norway, but also we have to talk about the Hurtigruten difference because we are not your traditional cruise line. We never have been, we never will be. We have over 130 years of reliability, which we'll speak to. This experience will be your relaxing home away from home. Our ships are designed for Norway. We will entertain you with knowledge and you will taste the coast of Norway. So if we dive in with over 130 years of reliability, I've already mentioned that we have 1,700 fjords. So that gives us all waterfront property, such as myself growing up along the Trondheimsfjord, but it also made it quite logistically challenging to navigate the coastline. A lot of these northern communities were quite isolated. In fact, mail could take weeks, if not months, to reach the northern regions. And in 1891, the Norwegian government floated out a contract to all seafarers asking if anyone would be willing to navigate the coastline to carry mail and cargo, but also sail at night. This was rather treacherous back then because of the fjords. It's a challenging coastline. We also have 50,000 islands. These were not well chartered areas back in that era. But in 1893, we did have Captain Richard Witt step up to the plate and he commandeered the DS Vesterålen. And the very first Hurtigruten voyage took place on July 2nd, 1893, from Trondheim up to Hammerfest. What used to take weeks to months, he achieved over the course of 3 days, and he called upon 9 ports along the way. History was formed and Hurtigruten was born. Here is your first lesson on Norwegians. We are very literal people. So Hurtigruten quite literally means the fast route. Hurti means fast. Ruten means route. So this is the fast route. So if you throw sarcasm or funny jokes my way, chances are they will go over my head. I am too literal of a person. But history was formed, but the experience of Hurtigruten was overall transformative for the Norwegian coast. Export was largely born on our ships. No longer were people isolated in their various villages. They had freedom of movement. Very important to note that the intent was to connect the coast. These were working ships back then, but we were adopted by leisure travelers over the years. So we have morphed into a commercial leisure cruise line. One of the most celebrated cruise lines in Norway. You can see that we frequently get welcomed by the Norwegians right along the coast of Norway because of the significance, everything that we have contributed to the Norwegian coast over the years. They will frequently just be there with the Norwegian flags, and it is a common practice to track the Hurtigruten along the way. So this is not just a cruise, this is actually a legacy and historic route that goes back 132 years. So it is the most authentically and immersively Norwegian way to explore Norway. Now, this is your relaxing haven at sea. The ship is not your destination like it might be on those larger cruise ships. Norway is your destinations. We don't have casinos, no water slides with us. The real show is Norway. And when you are looking at your stateroom with Cruise Norway here, you are considering your stateroom to be your bedroom. No one is sailing with Hurtigruten to spend the whole day in your stateroom. This ship is built for your comfort. All of our ships have 180-degree panorama lounges. Think of the restaurants as your kitchens. Lots of outdoor deck space to go take in the midnight sun or chase the northern lights. And you're going to see that everybody on board, they're dressed quite relaxed. There's no formal nights, there's no dress code on board. So really just a relaxing way. This is a really good example of slow travel, immersive travel. Your stress will melt right off you. The ships are also smaller. So all of our ships will max out around 500 guests. So that is much smaller than the larger ships. That also means we get to hug the coast and thread that Norwegian coast like a needle. You will have times when you think the ship cannot possibly fit down this strait. You might be so close you can see into someone's living room. So we are very close to shore for a large majority of the way. If any of you tuning in, if you like river cruises, why not try a fjord cruise and hug that Norwegian coast with us on this legacy route? We are an adventure discovery experience on board. So we're not quite expedition. We don't have the zodiacs, but we do entertain you with education. So lecture programs on board. You'll learn about the great explorers of eras past. And also, if we pass areas of historical and cultural significance, we will invite you to what we call a point of interest out on deck. So let's pause here. We have established that you will see the coast of Norway with us. You will see it in the most authentically Norwegian way. You will see villages that no one else will take you to, but you're going to learn about the coast of Norway. This is an edutainment experience, if you will, but you're also going to taste the coast of Norway. Everything about Hurtigruten is decidedly Norwegian. So 80% of our food is sourced locally from over 70 suppliers. So that means short traveled food, some of the freshest ingredients, and our award winning concept of Norway's coastal kitchen. So if you are a foodie tuning in, this should have your ears perked right up, because the food, you will taste the food from the most skilled chefs along the Norwegian coast here. So I did mention we don't have a dress code, but we're going to leave all the tight clothing at home, seeing as these are culinary cruises. So enjoy some Arctic char along the coast with us, or king crab. This is actually an invasive species in the northern regions. So king crab is definitely going to be on the menu. Try some seaweed, rather through spices or seaweed salads. This is a blue food. Lamb is always on the roster. We have a lady who hand delivers cloudberries to the ship, and you must try our brunost. This is leftover whey from the cheese making process that's been simmered into a sweet caramelized paste and left to harden. And this is decisively Norwegian, and something I recently learned. Don't be alarmed, but I also recently learned that it was flammable. There was a truck with 60,000 pounds of brunost that caught fire in a tunnel. It shut the tunnel down for 4 days. So if you ever have a trivia night about Norway, then you have learned something today. So 80% of our food is sourced locally, but 60% of our beverages is also sourced locally. And we have these really fun collaborations. The one I like to always show the video of is Havets Bobred, which is bubbles of the sea. This is where you can sample our sparkling wine that has been aged underwater in undisclosed fjords for about 6 to 8 months on end, maybe a little bit longer. We usually will drop about 4,000 to 5,000 bottles. I do say undisclosed because you don't want Norwegians knowing where it is. We can be a little, we might make some bad decisions and go looking for the crates before Hurtigruten can come back for them. But this is just another example about how we really try to get creative with both our culinary and libation programs, if you will. So that's just a little bit about Norway, what makes us different here at Hurtigruten. So we're going to start diving into this original Coastal Express and what it has evolved into today. This map you will see has 34 ports of call along the way, and it's quite a modular route. You can do a round trip, Bergen, Kirkenes, Bergen, which is 12 days. But if you just don't have that kind of vacation time, not to worry, you can do a 7 days north, Bergen to Kirkenes, or perhaps a 6 day south, Kirkenes to Bergen. So when you are working with Cruise Norway, go ahead and just let them know how long you can get away. They will find something for you. We have departures every single week of the year. We have the highest number of cruise departures along the Norwegian coast because we have 7 ships sailing this identical route. So you oftentimes will have up to 5 departures every single week to choose between. Now, you have a commonly asked question, which is when is the best time to go? So 4 different seasons can offer 4 distinctly different experiences. So when you're discussing with Cruise Norway about the best time to go, please make sure, do you want to see Northern Lights? Do you want to see Midnight Sun? Are you into bird life? Then that would determine when you need to go. So make sure you're telling them what you're looking to experience, and they will advise the best time to go. But just to give you a quick overview, spring is spring fever. We invented it in Norway, essentially, vårfølelse. And it's off peak, so it's not as crowded, but you have 2 seasons in one sailing. Norway has the second longest coastline in the world. So stands to reason that you can have 2 seasons in one experience. So in April, you're going to have spring in the south, winter in the north. And in May, you're going to have summer in the south and spring in the north. If you want to go around May 17th, that is our Constitution Day, 17. Mai. So that is a really fun time to be in Norway, and you'll see everyone out in parades. A lot of the Hurtigruten ships will probably alter the schedule and also participate in these parades. But that's a really fun time to be there. Midnight Sun's probably the most popular time to go in summer between June and August because the sun does not set above the Arctic Circle. So here is when the outdoor activities really kick into overdrive. Think hiking, kayaking, bicycling, king crab safaris, rib boat safaris, off ship you have music festivals. This is really when you have the longest days, the warmest temperatures. So this is really a fun time to go. And I've often been chasing the Northern Lights, but I had the opportunity to go back to Norway late May last year, and I just could not get over just how stunning everything was. 24/7 views of the most stunning coastline. So it's really a special time to go in summer. You get a lot of experiences during this time frame. In fall, again, you have shoulder seasons. It's off peak. It's not as crowded. And you have the onset of Northern Lights season during this time. So when we get to about mid-September, you might have the last remnants of summer in the south, but you're going to sail into fall foliage and Northern Lights season in the north. And in October, you'll have the fall foliage in the south, and you will sail into the onset of winter, essentially. But once we get into mid-September, it's going to be dark enough to see the Northern Lights. So you have a good balance of daytime and darkness to see the Norwegian coast, but also chase the Northern Lights. It's also harvest season, so this is peak foodie season. Then the final season that we have is winter. This is where, just like the sun doesn't set in summer, it doesn't rise in winter. So think winter activities. Even though it's a polar night, it's not dark. You still have nautical twilight. You'll have cotton candy skies, but you're not going to see the coast of Norway for many, many hours on end because it will be super dark for most of the day. But your intent of traveling in winter is to hunt the Northern Lights. Darkness is a key ingredient. This is when snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, dog sledding, snowmobiling activities kick into overdrive. The Christmas markets start in November, December timeframe, and it's peak whale season between October and January. So we'll pivot quickly to Northern Lights before we'll hop into the itinerary at hand today. Why you should consider a cruise if you are into Northern Lights. So you need to look up the auroral oval and understand this is where the Northern Lights are most prevalently seen. Now, we offer a little bit of a competitive advantage here in that we can sail past cloud cover. So if it's a cloudy night, you're chasing by land, you might be out of luck, but we are constantly sailing. You have less light pollution from our ships than you would have in cities, and we're not going to mess with your beauty sleep. You can go to bed and we will make the announcements to your stateroom. We know this is a big experience for you, so we do make you the most robust Northern Lights promise in the industry, and it's pretty simple. Sail with us anytime between September 20th, March 31st. You just have to give us 11 days. You got to sail with us 11 days or longer. If there are no Northern Lights occurrences, we will give you a free cruise. Now, this is a business. We don't want to give you a free cruise. So we're pretty confident that the Northern Lights will show. But if I make the announcement 3 o'clock in the morning, you must get out of bed. We all look a hot mess at 3 o'clock in the morning, but we're not looking at each other. We are looking up. So that is your promise. All right, let's tackle this historic itinerary, the original Coastal Express. We were also the first travel company to be awarded the Made in Norway mark. So we are decisively Norwegian. So your experience with the original Coastal Express, I'm going to cover the 12-day round trip, and then we'll stop at the halfway point and I will explain, the embarkation, debarkation. However, I think my face might be covering the map. So I'm going to go off camera here for a second. You will start in Bergen. This is Norway's second largest city, and it is a gateway to the fjord. So even when you leave Bergen, you are going to sail through the Hjeltefjord. So fjords are given. What you're looking at here is actually the UNESCO listed World Heritage Site called Bryggen. So even before you set foot on ship, you have a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's lots of activities to do in the region. You can hop on the funicular to Mount Fløyen. That will give you impressive vistas of the whole city. There are impressive fish markets. Maybe try some dried fish. We have beef jerky in the US. Why not try some dried fish in Bergen? Lots of cute little shops and restaurants, and there's so many hiking trails in this region. So we do recommend that you extend. Cruise Norway can assist with that. We will set sail at 8:30. So as you follow along this map, you will see the times in port. And do pay attention that we do make stops throughout the night. We are still a lifeline to the Norwegian coast. So some of the stops will be shorter, and the intent really isn't for you to get off the ship. So we are going to hone in on summer, fall, and winter for right now. So Ålesund is the main port of call on day 2. We do cut the stay a little bit short between April and October because we'd rather spend time deviating into adjacent fjords. So we'll have a little bit of time here. You will notice the Art Nouveau architecture here. There was a bad fire back in 1904, and when they opted to rebuild, they rebuilt in Art Nouveau style. Also pay attention, one of our older ships is here, the MS Vesterålen, and that's more so you can see how walkable it is. Our ships are quite small, so we do more right alongside piers, very close to city center, if you will. And if you're following along in the right-hand column here, we do offer excursions. They are season dependent, however. So this is just a list of what you could experience at different times, but Cruise Norway has that list for you. So just inquire about a particular time frame and they can let you know what is available. But in June, July, and August, we cut our stay in Ålesund short so we can deviate down the UNESCO World Heritage Site called Geirangerfjord. So that here is where you have the Seven Sisters waterfall, and this is why you come to Norway. You come for these impressive mountains, you come for the fjords, you come for the never-ending daylight. So this will be a highlight. We will calmly glide into this fjord and show you the best of what Norway has to offer. There's going to be two ports or calls upon Ålesund, one in the morning, then we sail into the fjord, then we go back to Ålesund in the evening before carrying on. Now, if you go April, May, or September, October, you're going to deviate into that Jørenfjord. And I showed this video a little bit earlier, but this is from May of last year. So you can see firsthand, once again, how impressive the Norwegian fjords and coastline is. It's just absolutely stunning. You will sit out on deck and just take in this beautiful sight. So anytime you sail with us between April and October on day 2 north, there will be an impressive deviation into one of these two fjords. And then, like I mentioned, about an hour before you get into Trondheim, kindly go out on starboard side and give my Onkel Kristoffer and Tante Astrid a nice little wave. They will be there with their binoculars checking out what ship is coming through. So this is Norway's third largest city, founded by Viking King Olav Tryggvason in 997 AD. You'll see in the background here, that is the Nidaros Cathedral, a Gothic cathedral, the northernmost of its kind. And his remains are underneath that cathedral. So we like to say that we are the heathens of Norway. This is my home city. You have the impressive Nidelven here, and depending on the time of year, you can go kayaking here, or you can go cycling around Trondheim. This is the bicycle capital of Norway, and it is also a bustling student city. So lots to do here, Norway's third largest city. So we'll have about 3 hours here. On day 4, your main port of call will be Bodø. So we're going to be here for a couple of hours. This is actually home to the world's strongest tidal whirlpool, if you will. It's called Saltstraumen. It's also very rich in bird life. Once you get into this region and north, there's over 250 species recorded. You can start being on the lookout for seals and orca as well. And this is the last stop before the Lofoten archipelago. So already in Bodø, you're going to see a wall of mountains, or what looks like the mountains. It's called the Lofoten Wall. It's basically 100 kilometers of mountains that span up to 1,000 meters high, and it's a string of islands that are packed so tightly together and notable for their spectacular jagged granite peaks. Tromsø will be your highlight of day 5. And once again, look at Hurtigruten. We're docked right there in city center. The big white ship is all the way down the way. So we do fit into these little nooks and crannies. This is the Paris of the North, the gateway to the Arctic. Spectacular place for northern lights in winter, also home to the midnight sun in summer. What you'll notice probably the most about Tromsø is that it's so rich in maritime history. So this is where the great polar explorers such as Roald Amundsen and Fridtjof Nansen, they would start and end their explorations from this port. Lots to do in the region. There's dog sledding areas in the winter time. There's lots of hiking opportunities. It's notably walkable, so everything is quite central for you as well. Well, how about 4 hours here? Day 6, you will have a highlight of Honningsvåg. This picture is actually of the North Cape. So you will have to take an optional excursion to get to this point, but it is an absolute bucket list experience for many of our guests because this is rumored to be the northernmost point of mainland Europe. Now, there are a couple of points that are slightly further north than this, but none as impressive as the North Cape. So this cliff sits about 1,000 feet above sea level. There's lots of artwork in this region. There's a monument here. And in Honningsvåg, that is a fishing village. So that's where you'll find the North Cape Museum. You can learn about the Cape. You can learn about the coastal culture, lots of Sami culture in the region as well. And then you have the oldest structure in the region from 1885, which is the Honningsvåg Church. If you are an avid birder, there is a bird watching safari here. So here, once again, you can stay on the lookout for maybe puffins, skuas, gannets, and so on and so forth. But the list goes on, or the journey goes on. We're going to come to Kirkenes. This is right on the Norwegian border, and this is the turnaround point. So let's say you have decided to just do northbound. You will be debarking in Kirkenes at 9 o'clock in the morning. If you are starting from Kirkenes, you will be departing at 12:30. This is really a small regional village. They have a lot of Sami culture here. There's also a lot of World War II history here, which you can experience through an optional excursion to the Norwegian border. King crab is quite abundant in this region, so you can participate in a king crab adventure. And also Snow Hotel Kirkenes is up here. Essentially, they have a hotel made out of snow and ice that is open 365 days a year. So you can hop off your midnight sun cruise and you can go sleep on a block of ice if you opt for one of the half voyages. But this is the turnaround point. What goes north must come south. So we set our sights south. So if you're on the round trip, it's day 8. If you're on the southbound, it is day 2. So we'll have the main port of call be Hammerfest. And I'm just going to pause here to let you know that how we bridge the gap. If we don't have a lot of time in one particular port, we do also offer dual port excursions. For example, breakfast at the North Cape. You could hop off here in Honningsvåg at certain times of the year, then chase the ship overland to Hammerfest. We also have dual port snowmobiling excursions where you can literally chase the ship overland on a snowmobile in winter. So how you can bridge the gap and get more time ashore is through booking optional excursions. The Hammerfest is the northernmost city in Norway, and you have the UNESCO listed meridian column here, which basically established the exact shape and size of the planet. So we have that, and we have the cheese cutter. So I'd say that Norwegians have contributed quite well to society. The highlight of any journey with Hurtigruten is the Vesterålen and the Lofoten archipelago. So this is the most scenic area of all of Norway. Archipelagos, jagged mountains. It is absolutely stunning. In Vesterålen, you will encounter Stokmarknes. And another testament to how celebrated we are along the Norwegian coast is that we have a museum dedicated to Hurtigruten, and it is actually a ship in a bottle concept. So encased in this structure, you have the decommissioned MS Finnmarken from 1956. So you will have the opportunity here to walk through 132 years of history. I specifically chose a southbound sailing last year so that I could go to the Hurtigruten Museum. It's really a special experience. We're going to dock right here, about 50 meters from the structure. So you can either just pop in, we're only here for an hour. You can pop in and walk around, or you can hop off the ship in Sortland and basically take a dual port excursion that would buy you more time to explore the museum. And Svolvær, of course, is the beating heart of the Lofoten archipelago. Artists and photographers will flock here year round. The best light, the best northern lights, the best midnight sun, the best hiking, the best views, everything is in Lofoten here. And this is also right next to city center, which is where we will dock. You would be in city center within a 3 to 5 minute walk, essentially. So on the southbound leg, we're here for a couple hours. Lots of sea eagles in the region, so you can go on a sea eagle safari. Maybe you want to do a dual port excursion, Lofoten by horseback. So there's lots of options to consider, or you can just explore independently. If you're lucky, I did lead with a video. You might be able to get into the Trollfjord. Pay attention to this next cliff here. This is a vertical mountain that shoots up about 1,000 meters. I will tell you, it has been a lifelong dream of mine to deviate into this fjord. And last year, I was lucky enough to do it. We can't do it year round because how narrow that fjord is and how steep that mountain is. So in winter, it's an avalanche danger, or in spring, it could be a mudslide danger. So we're only going to take you in here if it's safe, but really a kind of a safe bet that we're really going to try to get in here as much as possible, at least in the summer months. And I did see them deviate into one of our ships just a week or two ago. So there must have been some favorable conditions. But this will be the most impressive fjord that you experience, and another testament to smaller ships. Those bigger ships, they can't fit. So we can take you where other people can't fit. You'll learn about troll lore along the Norwegian coast. Lots of mountain ranges that are fabled or rumored to be old trolls that were daft and turned to stone. And I was so tickled to see that I actually captured aerial footage on my way to Svalbard last year of the Seven Sisters mountain range. I also like this vista here because you can see that navigating the Norwegian coastline, it's not easy. It's not, and we have the most skilled captains within Hurtigruten, decades upon decades of experience. But you're going to cross the Arctic Circle along the Helgeland coast, and you're going to get to the midway point of Norway called Brønnøysund. Another reason why I chose the southbound voyage for any hikers tuning in, there is a hike to the Hurtigruten mountain that is absolutely second to none. You will not have this experience anywhere else in the world. This is a naturally made hole in the mountain that was formed during a recent ice age, but there's troll lore that rumors this to be a hat that was pierced by an arrow, a troll king who tried to save a damsel in distress, but then turned to stone as the sun arose. So Brønnøysund itself, small fishing village, 5,000 inhabitants. Again, front row seat to the authentic Norway, not the touristic Norway. Now, on the northbound leg, if the general rule of thumb is if you pass an area during the daytime sailing north, the rule is usually you'll hit it at night sailing south. But Trondheim is the exception. So I agree. This is such an amazing city. We should visit it during daytime hours twice. But pay attention to the time where they're quite early on the southbound leg. So if you're booking the round trip voyage, you could theoretically, and you wanted to go to the Nidaros Cathedral, you might want to hold off and book that on the southbound leg because the shops have not opened yet. And then maybe you just want to walk around on your own on the northbound leg. So just food for thought there. And later the day, we have 2 ports of call, Kristiansund and Molde. So we don't have a ton of time in each port, but depending on the time of year, we offer dual port excursions between Kristiansund and Molde. One is the Atlantic Road, and then the other is Bergtatt Magnificent Marble Mine. And that concludes your voyage on the last day of day 12. That is Bergen. We are back in the city. We will be there at 2:45. Now, that is the onboard experience. You have the lecture program. Anything off ship does carry an additional charge. So that's important to keep in mind when you are pricing everything out with Cruise Norway. We have a lot of excursions, over 70. They are seasonal, however, so make sure you communicate with Cruise Norway. They will let you know which ones are available for that time of year. And also, I really want you guys to pay attention to level 1 through 4. So 1, easy, suitable for most guests. Maybe that's a guided motor coach tour. Challenging, well, maybe we're hiking through the Hurtigruten mountain, or maybe we're riding snowmobiles or snowshoeing, or we even have an excursion in winter for cross-country skiing because Norwegians dominate in the Winter Olympics. So level 1 through 4, make sure you are choosing what is right for you. And the excursions, very Norwegian as well. Here's another one. We have the northbound North Cape that is available year round. And in the summer into autumn, we do have breakfast at the North Cape. We just need enough daylight hours on the southbound leg. My favorite excursion, once again, is the Hurtigruten Museum. I really, really recommend this museum because if you're traveling with Hurtigruten, you are likely a seeker of knowledge. You want to learn, you want to immerse yourself into the authentic culture and history of Norway. Hurtigruten Museum is part of that. So this was really a highlight of my experience. I really recommend it. So if you happen to find yourself on the southbound voyage, I do recommend that you check out the Hurtigruten Museum. I mentioned the Hurtigruten mountain hike, which I've already played you the video for. Definitely was a glute workout, lots of stone stairs, but we gladly had the dessert later after that excursion. You can see sea eagles in the Lofoten archipelago, experience Lofoten by horseback. You also have that Atlantic Road, rumored to be the engineering feat of the century in Norway because they built this 5-mile stretch of road basically on little skerries and islets and such. So this was a good connector in Norway. And you might have seen the Atlantic Road pop up in an action movie or two. Then you have the Nidaros Cathedral. Our Crown Princess Martha got married here. It's built on top of the remains of Viking King Olav Tryggvason. It's the northernmost Gothic cathedral of its kind, and it's pretty central. So once you're here, it's quite walkable to the adjacent neighborhoods. I like the kayaking experience because you get the waterfront view of the back end of the Nidaros Cathedral as well. Sami culture, a big draw for Norway. About half of the world's Sami population resides in Norway, so that is definitely part of the Norwegian culture. So we invite you to book that. And then there's also various hikes that would be announced on board. So if conditions allow and we have enough people, our expedition teams would take you perhaps out on hikes in their backyard. So we will take you where others don't, essentially. Now, we're coming to the end here, but we are going to talk about onboard amenities, life on board. Your living room is the panorama lounge. You will find you spend a lot of time in the lecture halls. We have a robust lecture program. So there's always something going on, whether it be a food tasting, a lecture, point of interest out on deck. Don't forget your swimwear. All of our ships have hot tubs. If you have forgotten something, we do have a lovely gift shop. We have observation deck space. And if you want to offset the caloric intake, then bring your gym clothes and hang out in the fitness center as well. The most magical part of this original Coastal Express is and has always been and will forever be traveling like a local, meeting the people of Norway. This is my favorite part because, again, this is not a touristic experience. This is sailing through the lifeline to Norway. What makes Norway so amazing? You will see Norwegians that still utilize our services for port to ports because it's still the fastest way to get there. We still have 1,700 fjords. I mentioned we taste the Norwegian coast. We don't wear tight clothing. So when you come on board, your meals will be in Torget. That is your main dining. This will be included for all guests, full board. Breakfast, lunch will be buffet format, generally speaking. Please be sure to indicate any dietary preferences or preferred time of dining, and we will note that in the booking. So all of the food is clearly marked with allergens, and dinner is an a la carte seated affair at assigned times. So just communicate all of your preferences. We will get that sorted. So there's only one restaurant that's included in your fare, and that is Torge. For an optional charge would be the Bistro Brygga. Maybe you want to go here, just grab some comfort foods. If you want a pizza or gastro burger, Nordic dishes, you don't want to wait until dinner. You can always opt to eat here for an additional charge. And we do have an additional charge a la carte fine dining restaurant where you will have these dishes by our most skilled chefs. Have your choice between 4 starters, 5 mains, 4 desserts. Maybe you want to supplement with a nice cheese board. We have world championship cheeses in Norway, and pair it with a nice bottle of wine. In addition to servicing the coast of Norway since 1893, we have been keeping dentists in business since 1893. We are obsessed with candy and sweets in Norway. So most of our ships will have a bakery where you can have ice creams or smoothies or open-faced sandwiches called smørbrød pastries. You're also going to find a lot of the local Norwegians will hang out in the bakery. And finally, who doesn't want a bar in their living room? So we have the Explorer Lounge. Have a nice glass of Bubbles of the Sea or premium akkevitt or gin made only for Hurtigruten, or IPAs brewed only for Hurtigruten. So take in the sights with a nice Nordic libation here. Now, just a couple slides on your accommodations. Even though these are technically still working ships, is not really something that you'll notice outside of the itinerary, the scheduled stops. The suites are well appointed, floor to ceiling bay windows, 2-room suites, and we do have a wide variety of non-suite stateroom options as well. One thing to note, however, you should, if you're not booking a suite, treat this as your bedroom. The ship is built for you to be roaming around, and the staterooms they might run smaller than what you might be used to with other cruise lines. So just note that, but also you're not coming with us to spend a lot of time in your stateroom, essentially. So we'll just tee this up here. What is included, just to recap. So any voyage is 6 days or longer. We're not discussing port to ports in this webinar right now. That would have a different set of inclusions, but your full board, breakfast, lunch, dinner, choice of preferred dining time at dinner. You'll have coffee and tea throughout your voyage. The Wi-Fi is actually quite good, so you can absolutely work remotely if you need to, access social media, maybe not stream your Netflix shows, but really good Wi-Fi. You'll have the lecture program, the points of interest, the food tastings out on deck. Also, the price you see is the price you get. Port charges, taxes, and fees are included, and gratuities are not expected. So that is your Hurtigruten overview. I wanted to have a slide to meet the Cruise Norway team. So we've already established that Gordon gave me my start in the cruise industry. And for that, I will be forever grateful. I have the opportunity to do what I love day in and day out. Espen Fjermid was the owner of Cruise Norway. He is a mentor of mine, taught me. I used to work at Cruise Norway as well. He taught me everything I know. Mari Pern, who you see here, she was my very first trainer back in 2016 and took me on my very first Hurtigruten cruise. And Anne Tal is an absolute powerhouse in expedition. She taught me everything I know about expedition. Daniel Anne will be sailing with me in May. Steve and I have worked at both Cruise Norway and Hurtigruten. So the vast majority of the team, there's such expertise and friendship involved here. So I couldn't end my part of this without throwing some big shout outs. Oh, and Matthew Gray, he has the best pun game in the world. We are social media friends. I've not met him in person, but he's also worked at Hurtigruten before. So Gordon, come back in. How did it go?
Yeah, awesome. I'm ready to go again and again and again. Norway is quite addictive because it is such a beautiful place. And
Yeah.
I want to take this opportunity, Lynn, to thank you for joining us and giving us all these wonderful insights. As I said in the opening, Cruise Norway is a specialist agency that, by default, as you can see by our name, we're specialists very much in Norway, and our relationship with Hurtigruten goes deep. A lot of our staff are ex-employees of Hurtigruten. They've explored the places that we were just taken, and yeah, we're ready to book this dream vacation for you and make sure that you will have just as much fun as Lynn has when she boasts about the beauty of our own country, even though you're living in the Carolinas now.
I am, but I'm open to moving home. So my parents moved me to Norway when I was young. I now have younger kids, so it's on the table. I might, I might
There
go
you
home.
go.
You never know.
You never know. You never know. But we really appreciate it. And I know there were some questions. I believe that during the presentation, perhaps some of those questions were actually answered. But if we can, Lynn, let's
Yeah.
just have a quick look at if there's any additional questions that came in, because I think
Yes.
there's one. So the excursions included, are they all optional? I think you addressed that. And
Yes.
then the other question, that's a good one,
Yes.
is speaking to the time in port in some of the
Mm.
places that we visit. I have an answer for that, but I'll let you deal with that.
Yes. So the 10 minutes to 4 hours, it's important to note that this is a route that was established on tender with the Norwegian government. We are a lifeline to the Norwegian coast. We are contracted to be in port at very specific times. So the 10-minute stops, you're not getting off ship. You're actually going to be sitting in a lecture or eating a meal when we stop there. That's intended for the local travelers. They're using it as a hop on, hop off service, right? The 4 hours, that is where you have your time to explore. And as I mentioned throughout the webinar here, we recognize that you're not going to have as much time in port as you might with a traditional commercial cruise. That is where dual port excursions come into play, where you can chase the ship, hop off the ship in one port, chase the ship over land, catch the ship in the following port. So that is how we bridge the gap. But we have to call upon 34 ports over the course of 7 days. So naturally, that's going to mean shorter individual times. How'd I do, Gordon? What's your answer?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would have said. Sometimes literally you drop off a few envelopes in the mail and off
Mm,
you go again. And some of the ports that you call on are, the word port is bigger than the town itself. So
correct.
you're looking at two, three houses where, you know, uh, yeah, you could barely spend any time there. But that is sort of part of the romantic story of the Hurtigruten experience, where you get these
Mm,
little touch points and then the highlights,
yeah.
the staple bit more touristy sort of highlights of the trip. But
Yeah.
I think Lynn, here with the QR codes, you will take if you hover your phone here, you can take yourself directly to some of the itineraries that we discussed.